Kerak Castle, also known as Kerak de Moab, rises dramatically from a rocky plateau in present-day southern Jordan, dominating the ancient King's Highway, one of the most important trade routes of the medieval world. This highway connected Egypt, Arabia, Damascus, and Mesopotamia, making Kerak not just a fortress, but a strategic choke point controlling commerce, pilgrimage, and military movement. Long before the castle itself was built, this location held significance in biblical times, known as Kir of Moab, referenced in ancient texts as a stronghold of the Moabites. Its elevation, nearly 1,000 meters above sea level, provided natural defense, steep cliffs on 3 sides, and clear visibility across vast desert plains. These geographic advantages made Kerak irresistible to medieval military planners. In 1142 CE, during the height of the Crusader presence in the Levant, Pagan the Butler, Lord of Oultrejordain under the Kingdom of Jerusalem, began construction of the castle. The Crusaders sought to secure their eastern frontier against Muslim powers and to control caravan routes linking Damascus to Mecca. Kerak was not merely a defensive outpost. It was a political statement, a stone symbol of Crusader ambition deep within Muslim lands. Built using massive limestone blocks, the fortress combined European Crusader architecture with adaptations for desert warfare. Its long vaulted halls, narrow arrow slits, and thick walls were designed to endure prolonged sieges. From its earliest days, Kerak was envisioned as an impregnable bastion, capable of projecting power across Transjordan. The castle's construction immediately altered the balance of power in the region, provoking tension with neighboring Muslim rulers and setting the stage for nearly 2 centuries of warfare, diplomacy, and bloodshed that would make Kerak one of the most contested fortresses of the medieval Middle East. Under Crusader control, Kerak Castle became the administrative and military heart of the lordship of Oultrejordain, one of the most powerful fiefs of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. From its walls, Crusader lords governed vast desert territories stretching from the Dead Sea to the Red Sea. The castle housed not only soldiers, but also administrators, merchants, and clergy, functioning as a self-contained feudal city. Its massive underground vaults stored grain, water, and weapons, allowing it to survive sieges lasting months or even years. Life inside Kerak was harsh yet structured, governed by rigid feudal hierarchies and constant military readiness. The Crusaders imposed heavy taxes on caravans passing through the King's Highway, often extorting Muslim pilgrims traveling to Mecca. This aggressive economic exploitation fueled resentment throughout the region. Kerak's lords wielded enormous autonomy, sometimes acting independently of Jerusalem itself. This autonomy reached its peak under Raynald of Châtillon, one of the most infamous figures of the Crusades. Raynald transformed Kerak into a base for audacious and brutal raids, attacking Muslim caravans and even launching naval expeditions into the Red Sea, threatening the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. Such actions violated truces and outraged Muslim leaders, especially Sultan Saladin. Within the castle, Crusader life was a mix of military discipline and aristocratic privilege. Banquets, tournaments, and religious rituals unfolded beneath stone vaults designed for war. Yet despite its strength, Kerak was never truly at peace. The surrounding Muslim powers constantly probed its defenses, and the castle existed in a perpetual state of siege readiness. Its very success as a Crusader stronghold made it a symbol of occupation and provocation, ensuring that it would become a primary target in the Muslim counteroffensive that would soon reshape the region. The rise of Saladin marked a turning point in the history of Kerak Castle. Determined to unify the Muslim world and expel the Crusaders, Saladin recognized Kerak as both a strategic threat and a symbolic insult. In 1183 CE, he launched a major siege against the fortress. The timing was dramatic. Inside the castle, a lavish wedding was taking place between Humphrey IV of Turin and Isabella of Jerusalem. As siege engines battered the walls, the celebration continued within. A stark contrast between aristocratic ritual and the brutal reality of war. According to chroniclers, Saladin, displaying chivalric respect, ordered his forces not to target the tower housing the wedding chamber. Despite months of bombardment using trebuchets and siege towers, Kerak's defenses held. Its thick walls and deep cisterns allowed it to withstand the assault, forcing Saladin to withdraw temporarily. However, this siege demonstrated a crucial truth. Kerak was no longer untouchable. The psychological impact was immense. The castle's defenders realized that Muslim forces now possessed the coordination and resources to challenge even the strongest Crusader fortresses. Saladin returned in 1184, tightening the noose once again, but Kerak continued to resist. These repeated sieges drained Crusader resources and morale, while strengthening Saladin's reputation as both a relentless commander and a noble adversary. Kerak became a focal point of a larger struggle between Christian and Muslim powers, a fortress whose fate was inseparable from the destiny of the Crusader States themselves. The sieges also exposed internal weaknesses within the Crusader leadership, particularly the reckless actions of Raynald of Châtillon, whose defiance of truces would soon bring catastrophic consequences. Raynald of Châtillon's rule over Kerak represents one of the darkest chapters in the castle's history. From within its walls, Raynald launched a campaign of terror against Muslim trade and pilgrimage, repeatedly violating peace agreements. His most provocative act came when he threatened to attack Mecca itself, an unforgivable offense in the Muslim world. Saladin personally vowed revenge, reportedly swearing to kill Raynald with his own hands. Kerak thus became the epicenter of escalating conflict. Raynald's actions undermined any possibility of coexistence and directly contributed to the outbreak of full-scale war. In 1187, Saladin mobilized a massive army, leading to the decisive Battle of Hattin, where Crusader forces were annihilated. Raynald was captured and executed by Saladin, fulfilling his oath. The defeat at Hattin shattered Crusader military power and left Kerak isolated and vulnerable. Cut off from reinforcements and surrounded by hostile forces, the castle's fate was sealed. Though its walls still stood strong, the political and military network sustaining it had collapsed. Kerak transitioned from a symbol of Crusader dominance to a besieged relic of a fading era. The fall of Raynald marked not just the end of a man, but the beginning of the end for Crusader rule east of the Jordan River. In 1188 CE, following the Crusader defeat at Hattin, Saladin returned to Kerak with renewed determination. This time, the castle stood alone, stripped of external support and plagued by shortages. The siege was methodical and relentless. Muslim forces surrounded the fortress, cutting off supplies and bombarding its walls. Inside, defenders faced starvation and despair. After months of resistance, Kerak surrendered. Unlike earlier assaults, this conquest marked a permanent shift in power. Saladin incorporated Kerak into the Ayyubid Sultanate, transforming it from a Crusader stronghold into a Muslim administrative center. The castle was repaired and adapted, its military functions preserved but reoriented to serve Islamic governance. Saladin's victory was both strategic and symbolic. It demonstrated the irreversible decline of Crusader influence in the region. Kerak, once a dagger aimed at the heart of Muslim lands, now became a shield guarding them. The transition was relatively orderly, reflecting Saladin's reputation for pragmatic rule. Christian inhabitants were allowed to leave or remain under new authority, and the castle's role evolved within a broader Islamic political framework. Under Ayyubid control, and later the Mamluk Sultanate, Kerak remained a vital fortress. The Mamluks, masters of military architecture, further strengthened the castle, adding towers, gates, and defensive corridors. Kerak served as a provincial capital, overseeing trade routes and agricultural lands. It became a hub of governance rather than conquest. The Mamluks recognized its value as a frontier stronghold against Mongol incursions and Bedouin revolts. Unlike the Crusaders, they integrated Kerak into a centralized imperial system, ensuring steady supplies and administrative oversight. The castle's architecture reflects this era, blending Crusader foundations with Islamic modifications, mosques, inscriptions, and new fortifications. Kerak thus became a layered monument, embodying centuries of conflict and adaptation. With the Ottoman conquest of the region in 1516 CE, Kerak entered a new phase. While still important, it gradually lost its military significance due to changing warfare technologies and political priorities. The Ottomans used Kerak as a regional administrative center and occasionally as a prison. Its massive walls, once cutting-edge defenses, became relics in an age of gunpowder artillery. Maintenance declined, and parts of the castle fell into disrepair. Yet Kerak remained a symbol of authority, its imposing silhouette reinforcing Ottoman control over southern Transjordan. The castle witnessed local revolts, tax disputes, and tribal conflicts, serving as a backdrop to the complex social dynamics of Ottoman rule. By the 19th century, Kerak had become a focal point for regional power struggles involving local tribes, Ottoman officials, and European interests. In 1910, a major revolt against Ottoman taxation erupted in Kerak, resulting in brutal reprisals. With the collapse of Ottoman rule after World War I, Kerak became part of the modern state of Jordan. Archaeological interest grew, and efforts were made to preserve the castle as a historical monument. Its ruins attracted scholars, travelers, and later tourists, transforming it from a military fortress into a cultural landmark. Paragraph 9. Architectural legacy of Kerak Castle. Kerak Castle stands today as one of the finest examples of Crusader military architecture in the Middle East. Its long vaulted halls, defensive galleries, and massive walls demonstrate advanced medieval engineering. The castle's design reflects adaptation to both European and Middle Eastern conditions, making it unique among Crusader fortresses. Every stone bears witness to centuries of warfare, governance, and survival. The integration of later Islamic elements adds depth to its architectural narrative, turning Kerak into a living textbook of medieval history. Today, Kerak Castle is more than ruins. It is a symbol of the clash and coexistence of civilizations. Crusaders, Muslims, Ottomans, and modern Jordanians have all shaped its story. It represents ambition, conflict, resilience, and transformation. Standing atop its walls, one can see not only the vast Jordanian landscape, but also the echoes of history stretching across centuries. Kerak Castle reminds us that power is temporary, but history endures, etched in stone, waiting to be remembered.